Okay, let me just take y'all in for a second. Good morning, good afternoon. Thank you all for being here. This is cool, right? That we get to do this. I wanted to start this morning. I know it might not be morning for all of you. Some people coming in from Australia late, some people in Europe. Just with some tips that I've found for working through this time. And this works both for whether you're, quarantining by yourself or quarantining with a partner. I think the same principles apply. And the piece that feels most important for me personally in my practice is structure. And creating structure, not just, the way we normally think about it, structure to work out, structure to work, structure, but that there is a structure that supports you, a structure that supports your practice, a structure that supports your intimacy. So for example, if you're with an intimate partner, one of the structures you might set up, and I'm just giving you stuff that I use, is you might intentional dialogue with your partner once a day. If you guys know what intentional dialogue is, Nicolette can give you a link to the YouTube video that we do, which is a way to clear any resentments and hear each other and empathize with each other. So maybe you say, hey, at noon every day, or, sometime between noon and 1 every day, we're going to do intentional dialogue and praise practice together. Well, that's a structure to support your intimacy. Something else, no, it's not a sex toy. This is actually to roll each other out. So that's my partner and I, we actually take half an hour and we roll each other out. She'll roll out my shoulders, I'll roll out her back. And that becomes a structure that supports our intimacy. So the more structure that we can provide ourselves, the better. So maybe a structure, I have a group of men that I've been meeting with for over 20 years, and we meet literally every day on Zoom. That's a piece of structure for myself, right? So what I'm finding as we go into this, that the structure of our personal practices and the structure that we can give ourselves will absolutely help support what we're trying to deepen into. Now, if you're alone, maybe you're trying to deepen into something else, like a deeper relationship with yourself, right? Or with a partner, you're trying to deepen into a connection, a deeper connection with a partner. Or maybe your partner's somewhere else. That would also be a structure, right? Maybe we Skype or we Zoom once a day. So I'm just giving you these ideas, and of course it's your art. You can get as creative as you want. You don't have to buy the crazy ass, rollout pin, but there is something, there's probably something there. And the other piece, the last thing I'll say about this before I want to take questions, is you need structure, especially if you're in an intimacy, together, right? You're quarantining together. You need a structure for the times that you're consciously choosing to be intimate together, and times that you're consciously choosing to be apart. And it's really important that those are clear. Oftentimes those are not clear. They're not clear in real life. They're less clear in quarantine. Everybody's just kind of flowing in and out of each other's space, and we're not really creating and consciously guarding our personal space. So it's really important. And I give the masculine partners in the intimacy this charge, which is consciously decide or work out with each other, when are you going to be intimate and when are you going to take solitude? And that way nobody's getting hurt because they don't quite understand what's going on and there's no lack of structure. So you might say something like, let's say you're both working from home. It might be one of those things where, Tuesday through Thursday, you guys sleep in separate beds, or you basically just come together at the end of the day and cuddle, but the rest of the day there's no demand. This is really important for men, by the way. Men in quarantine, if you're masculine in general, quarantine is is a really great challenge. It's a great challenge for anybody's masculine, man or woman, or however you identify. But if you're primarily a masculine being, quarantine, it's really important that there's clarity around how you're quarantining with your partner. I just want to make sure that we give lots of space for that. So the structures that you create in this time can really serve something very deep. And, you know, for example, like I've made a commitment to get up at 5 a.m., 4:30 or 5 a.m. I do yoga, I do some breath work, I do some meditation, then I write for an hour. And by the time 9 o'clock hits, I've already really had a kind of a beautiful structure to my day. I usually don't start seeing clients till around 10 or 11, or our groups don't start till that time. So I've really tried to build in the structure that helps me feel supported. So that's my pro tip, my quarantine pro tip. You know, structure is your friend, and it's different for everybody how you want to structure. It's completely your choice, but I want to make sure that everybody's got something, and they're not, because it's very hard if you're just flowing in and out of this. So with that said, let's get into some questions. You can ask me about what I just shared about, or you can ask something that's coming up for you, or something that you're dealing with when this is all over, right? Because this will be over. Everything has a beginning, a middle, and an end. And it seems like right now we're still in the middle, right? We're still in the middle. So just know that everything has a beginning, a middle, and an end. Even life. So, okay, Nicolette, I'm gonna let you choose the questions.
So first we're gonna go with Amadea. Go ahead and unmute yourself, Amadea, and ask your question.
There we go. Hi, good morning.
Hello.
Hi, so I have a question about dating right now. I am single, and I did go on a date with somebody whom I'd never met before, just last week. And my question is, how do I mean, what happened is that he actually reached towards me and wanted to hug me. And we didn't have a conversation about that. All we'd said is that we were going to social distance. And I was a little bit taken aback. I didn't actually in the moment say anything. I haven't been I've been living alone, quarantining, but I'm not super strict. But I could feel that I was tense. At one point, we took a walk. I live in LA. We took a walk. We tried to get on the beach. Then we walked through the canals. And, a couple of times he reached over and touched my hand, and it was really sweet. And I felt kind of tense.
Well, yeah, of course.
And I guess my question is and then after the date, he reached out and wanted to go to Santa Barbara. Did I want to meet him? And he would drive. And I basically said, thank you so much. Ordinarily, I love to be driven, which is true, but this is not ordinary. And I'm not comfortable getting in anybody's car right now. So I guess my question is, if I want to see him again, I want to be able to feel relaxed and open and feminine with that, but I also could feel my body contracting and being a little uncomfortable.
Right. Okay. So this principle is, I'm going to just jump in here for the sake of time, because I get exactly where you're at. And if you decide to date, it's really important that you're clear with them, because ultimately, if he's the masculine in this date and he says, here are the rules, and you guys agree on rules, and then he breaks the rules, yeah, of course you're not going to trust him. Now, probably it's sweet, it was a sweet gesture to reach out or to hug you, or he was feeling, but it would make sense that you would not trust him. So this will be for them. I'm giving this to the masculine practitioners on this call. If you are going to date in this time, be really clear about what the structure is. for your date, right? Or have a conversation to completely let go of social distancing because you guys just want to have sex. Or, you know, fuck it, we don't care, we're just going to have sex. And if that's the case, then agree on it. But if he hasn't, if things are squidgy, unfortunately, you have to have a conversation like, for me to want to spend time with you again, I would need ... I would need you to adhere to the social distancing rules that we agreed to. I would need us to have a conversation about like what's okay, what's not okay. I would need, right? So you can have a good old fashioned healthy, I call it healthy, David would call it second stage, conversation about what are the rules of engagement. And it's different when you phrase it that way and you say, I would need. Hard to argue with I would need.
Right.
Right. And it's less jarring to the masculine ego because it's you, right? And you can of course make it sweet, and you could make it, you know, you can bring your art to it. It doesn't have to be military, but it does have to be clear. So that would be a healthy way to just engage with him and say, if we're going to do anything else, here's what I would need. Or you could even go a little bit better. You could say, would you like to hear what I would need to trust you completely? Would you like to hear what I would need to trust you completely? Most guys would just raise your hand so the ladies know. Men, would you be okay with someone, if a woman said that to you, would you like to know? Just raise your hand so they know. Raise your hand so if not, then that's cool. Most guys are okay with that. Like, yeah, of course I want you to trust me. Like, yeah, what would you need? But when you start telling him, or you start acting strange and directing things, that's when it starts to not feel good to the masculine nervous system, right? The other possibility, so let's say you're out on a date with him and he reaches to hold your hand, right? And your authentic initial primary response is what?
Ordinarily, it'd be if I'm...
No, but in that moment, because it's not...
I could feel my whole body contract.
Great. So all you do is you amplify that contraction and express it as the truth of your heart. So he reaches for your hand and you go, woo, or whatever. And then he pulls his hand away and you take a deep breath because it feels better. So in that moment, you're not suppressing the truth of your heart. You're not stepping in to scold him for wanting to hold your hand, but you're letting it be known pretty clearly, this is okay, this is not okay. You could say no, or you could, I mean, it's your art, right? So it could be like, not yet, big boy, right? You could play with it, you could have fun with it, but you certainly don't want to suppress your heart in any dating environment. You know, and you know, we'll give this guy the benefit of the doubt. He liked you. He wanted to be closer to you, right? You know.
Well, I was touched. I mean, it was sweet. That's why I'm bringing this up, because I had a little bit of conflict afterwards. Like,
right. Well, you know, again, but your body doesn't lie. So if your body got tense, it didn't open you. Let's put it that way. Like if let's say he said, I'm not going to touch you, but I just want to feel your aura. And he reached towards you and didn't touch you, but just kind of felt 2 inches from your skin. Now, see, you guys can see that would open her.
Yeah, I totally.
That would open her.
Relax.
Yeah. So her body does not lie. I'm not going to touch you, I promise, but I just want to feel the hum of your body. Okay. And then he would have to, you know, understand like, okay, that's a yes. Is a no, right? Like what she just did is a yes. And so, you know, this is true for dating in any form or fashion, but at this time, you know, it's just required that we don't want to suppress anything. If you're going to be in the feminine and you want to evoke a deeper masculine from him, the more you're revealing the truth of your heart moment to moment, the more it's an invitation for him to bring a deeper presence, a deeper depth, a deeper awareness. Does it make sense to everybody else?
Yeah.
100 other people who are, oh, it's okay, good, good. All right.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, you're welcome. Thank you, Amadea. Who is next?
Next is Doug. Doug, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Go, Doug. All right, where are you, Doug?
Hi, man. That's me.
Hey, Doug.
Hey. I'm over here I'm in the UK. So.
Right on, man.
Right. Okay. I'm just going to plunge straight in with this question. So I've been married for a long time, 13 or 14 years. And over the last few years, I've done work around family constellation work. So it was all the generational trauma that came through from both sides, for my partner and for myself. And there was this massive entanglement that's just gradually sort of unraveling. Could you give a bit of guidance on that? Because it's like all these two histories coming together and I find it overwhelming.
No, that's
I don't know what the hell's, I don't know what's, I sometimes I don't know what's going on at all. And it's like, there's all these histories that are just playing off each other. So it's like the perfect match.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Am I making sense?
It makes total sense, man. And it's not just you. This is like all human beings in relationship are facing, you're bringing your familial karma, each of you bringing your familial karma, which can run quite deep, right? Epigenetics, if you know what epigenetics is, meaning that the trauma of her mother and father was passed down into her body, your mother and father passed down into your body. And so, yes, in relationship, we are like two nuclear reactors often that relate. And in the first year or so, our hormones and our desire to procreate, nature takes care of us by producing very specific hormones that allow us to override the family karmas, or basically constellation work is just an awareness practice to bring awareness to your family karmas. Does that make sense, Doug? Yeah. So family constellation work is great because it brings awareness to like, wow, this is how I relate with my father. This is how my mother shows up in our relationship. This is my relationship to all women. And so you're bringing awareness to that, which is great. And you're bringing a therapeutic approach to healing, which is great. Now, while you're in that healing stage, though, could take a few years, right? It's, 20 miles into the forest, 20 miles out. And in that time, there also needs to be what my teacher would call a yogic approach, right? Which means that the yogic and meditative approach deals with the present moment, and the therapeutic approach deals with the past, right? Okay. So present moment masculine. So the masculine in all of us, women or men, wants the discomfort to end. Can you guys all feel the part of Doug that wants the discomfort to end? Right? I can feel it in you now, brother. You know what I mean? Like, fuck, when is it just gonna be peaceful and sweet? Like that, the masculine's constantly looking for peaceful and sweet. and women too, So the part of us, any of us that wants a feeling to end is our masculine. The part of us that is happy with feelings going on forever, good feelings, bad feelings, is our feminine, right? So part of what you're dealing with, brothers, is just your natural masculine desire for the discomfort or the awkwardness or the aggression or the messiness to end. Am I getting that right? Okay. Totally cool, man. Like we just got to smile at that part of ourselves, right? Because as long as you're alive and decide to relate, it ain't gonna end. So part of our realization is to just relax into, okay, like there's a bit of a surrender to the messiness, to the tussle. Are you with me? Are you with me thus far?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Any questions about anything I said thus far?
No, I totally get what you're saying, yeah. And I've been on a mission to try and bring it all to an end, and I don't think I'm ever going to get there.
Yeah, it's great, man. Just recognize that. Oh, fuck, there's my masculine. Wanting the uncomfortable feelings to end, please, so I can have some fucking peace and there can just be sweetness and love, right? Because that's just what we want. And so I want to just let you off the hook for that, because that's just, you know, you're a masculine being. That's pretty obvious. So part of a way to work with this in the present moment, okay, is yogically, which means how can I come to this moment with my body open, my heart open, my breath full, and my capacity to be with this moment with no history. With no history. So it's just me and her right now. She's in pain. I'm in pain, right? There's no history. There's just two hearts yearning to connect, right? And that paradox of having the therapeutic realm to step into, to go into history and to rework history and to kind of untangle history, as you talked about. And then the yogic realm to be with each other with no history, that's the paradox that needs to be cultivated, if that makes sense. And it's hard, man. It's hard to be into, especially when you're in this space of wanting feelings to come to a nice ending. So I want to give you a practice because we only have a little time. So I want to give you something specific to work on. So I want you, that when you guys are working together, your wife and you are working together. Do you have children?
Yeah, I've got two.
Oh, beautiful, man. And you're quarantined together, more or less.
Yeah.
Okay. So I want you to do two things. I want you to consciously take time for yourself every week, maybe not every day, but a few times a week, and let her know, right? So, because you need to be nourished. For the masculine to step into the realm of relationship and relate in such a messy, chaotic ball of family karma takes a fuck ton of work for us. It's similar to a truly feminine being having to step into a courtroom. She can totally do it. She can rock it, but she has to, there's work involved.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Her body has to take a certain shape, right? Your body has to open in a certain way and be nimble that it's not used to. Yeah. So you need to be nourished. Like you need plenty of time in solitude to just get relaxed. I know it's hard with two kids, for Christ's sake. Yeah. But an hour here and a walk outside, a walk in the woods, time sitting on a park bench, all of that stuff. So you can be nourished. And then when you step in to relating, we'll make sure everybody's muted. Okay, Nicolette? When you step into relating, I want you to act through the feeling. So that requires you sit and just be with the feeling, like, oh, wow, baby, I noticed that I'm feeling really scared, or I'm feeling really hopeless, or I'm feeling angry. And you just stay in that feeling. I don't know what to do. And if you start making decisions through the feeling rather than on top of the feeling because you want the feeling to end, this is crucial, guys. Making a decision through the feeling, like letting something emerge from feeling. Right? And it might be to give her, the action might be to give her a hug, or to tell her like you're not going anywhere, or you might need space, or it might be to You do a primal scream. I don't know. But it's going to be coming through the truth of your heart versus, which is a way for you to honor your own feminine, if you understand what I mean, versus trying to strategize how to get it all to end. So that's a lot, man. I just gave you a lot and I'm making it sound easy, and it's basically a lifetime practice. Like, you just do this for the rest of your fucking life. And
Yeah.
it'll be painful, but beautifully rewarding if you can get it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, that's really great. I'm amazed I got a chance to speak to you. That's crazy.
So just before we close this, like, what's the feeling that comes up? Like, what's the primary feeling? I mean, I know there's frustration and there's, like, you know, all that, but what's the feeling that's coming up most in your relationship?
Excitement.
Excitement.
Yeah. And some apprehension, yeah, because they're just we're going into places we've not been before.
Great.
So it's exciting. Yeah. But yeah. Sorry, go on.
No, I was just saying, fear, like, right? So
Yeah.
fear, apprehension is just fear, right? So you're like, wow, baby, this is scary. Like, I don't know. And it's just to relax the masculine need to do something and just be with is really relaxing for the feminine. And it gives her permission to just be with too. Like, I don't know what to do, baby. This is scary. And then something else will come through that. So you own that this is scary, and you just sit with her and you're just with her. Wow. She's like, yeah, this is really scary. And then something will come through that. Something else will happen on top of the this is scary. And it might be like longing, maybe, or hopelessness or grief. And then you're with that. And you're like, wow, it makes, I notice I get really sad when I think about all this, and I think about your life and my life and us, I get sad. And then you're with that until something new emerges. And then you're relating from the truths of your heart, not from the desire to have everything end, which is actually part of your family constellation programming. Right? You're not acting in the relationship from wanting the things to end. You're acting right in the you're right in the chewy center. And it's a whole different way to relate. And it takes some time, bro.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's great, man. Thank you.
Yeah, good luck.
I really appreciate that.
Yeah,
Thanks.
Fuck, man. I'm glad you were able to bring that. Be safe, bro.
Yeah, man.
Thank you. All right. So let me say a couple things about what I just talked about. In relationship, you know, the masculine, especially, I'm talking to my brothers here, the part of us that's wanting the thing to just get peaceful and end, that might be the part of us that just wants to end the relationship because it's too much, or the part of us that wants to start a relationship because the loneliness is too much, or the part of us that wants to get to the resolution of the fight because being in the fight is too much. That tendency for our masculine, and this is just as true with women, to have things come to an end is the antithesis to a relational practice. So we acknowledge it. It's our tendency. It's like our right arm, complete task, complete task, complete task, or, you know, complete task. That's kind of the masculine tendency. But we really want to allow our nervous systems and our hearts to sink into what's truly being felt now. And if you're alone, I talk to a lot of people who are alone, it might be loneliness. Loneliness might be what you're feeling now. So rather than try to end your loneliness by binging on Netflix, maybe you spend an hour just honoring your own loneliness or your own heart, right? Your own yearning. And you're with that. You don't You don't chop it off. And I think that's actually one of the beautiful opportunities that I'm seeing for people, because everybody slowed down. It happened for me on Sunday, man. I work pretty hard. On Sunday, I was like, fuck it, I'm not doing anything. About midway through the day on Sunday, I hit a pocket of grief around my daughter's death that I had not felt for months. I had not felt for months. And I just, cried and looked at videos. It took about an hour to work through it, but it was important. So I really want to make sure that, this message lands, that whatever you're feeling, please don't try to get out of it. Go through it. Go through it. Honor it. And then, so here's the, I'll take the next question in a second, but here's the formula. Honor it fully, and then ask yourself this question. Okay, now what do I want to create? Okay, I'm lonely. I'm lonely. Oh, fuck, I'm lonely. Fuck, I'm so lonely. Okay, I felt it. I felt it. I felt it. Maybe I cried. Right? Now what do I want to create? That's a much deeper way to approach doing than the way we often do. Okay. Nicolette.
Okay, next up we have Michelle. Michelle, please unmute yourself and ask your question. Oh, see you.
Hello, Michelle.
Hi, thank you so much for this. This is awesome. And I love the last question. I got a lot from that. What you spoke about in the beginning with structure. I wasn't planning to have a question. As soon as you said that, I was like, oh, gosh. My feminine, I'm in a battle or a war with when I lived by the ocean, I had a sunrise practice and I was so in the masculine. It was so beautiful. And it was so, I wasn't in masculine, but I was in my discipline, and I worked out in the morning and all of these things. And I was feeling very not crazy, chaotic feminine as my tendency can be in my nature, because I had this very strong alignment. And then I moved to Boulder 3 years and it knocked me out of that. That was a chaos to itself. And now I'm in San Antonio, which is a city. The energy is different frequency, but I'm here because of my partner, and that's going beautifully. And I'm very grateful for that. I have not been, since I moved here just 6 months ago, able to knock myself into a rhythm. And the battle that's going on is that my self-love feminine is like, I want to sleep till like 8, just to like hum. I'm just like humming in the morning in my bed. So it's like a different type of practice, but I feel very not in my integrity. And my partner is like waking up at 5 right now and doing the thing. Since quarantine started, he's doing the Shiva thing. And now it's annoying because I feel very out of my own integrity because I know it's possible, but my body tends to night owl right now. And it's so hard I can't be in one fully because it's like I'm being pulled into this feminine cocoonness soup thing and creative bursts, but not like a rhythm of steadiness. And so I'm beating myself up for not being on my integrity.
What if your structure is I wake up when Goddess tells me to get out of bed?
Did you say what if my structure was that?
Structure is I get out of bed when Goddess tells me it's time to get out of bed.
So like fully go into the...
Yeah. Like, why not? When you said I'm in bed humming, I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with that?
It feels so good, but then for the rest of my day, then it's 10 o'clock and I don't feel like I did my 3 hours of practice, and then I'm not doing my, okay.
So that feels a little rigid to me, right? It feels a little rigid. It feels more like something it feels like more messaging, and I'm just making this up here, so tell me if I'm wrong. But it feels more like messaging you received versus your authentic heart, right? I should be practicing for 3 hours. Is that fair to say? Okay. So if you were to create structure to fully honor your feminine, right? Rather than battle your feminine, like you said, what might that look like? So maybe it's, I get out of bed get out of bed when Goddess tells me to get out of bed, and I just, and then my structure is I creative write for 10 minutes or 20 minutes, or then I do breath work on my sheepskin, right? For, you know, there's still structure, but it's structured to hold your feminine versus reject your feminine. Right? You're like, it's like your mask, it's like we all have toxic masculines. It's just there's too much toxic masculine in our environment, and not everybody, men and women. Women's toxic masculines tend to show up like the same way it does in a man's body. Do more, drive forward, get it done, right? And that's the toxic masculine, right? But your sacred masculine recognizes that your feminine, like, loves being in bed till 8 or 9, and then she gets out of bed and creates a 2-hour window for her to just flow. So your sacred masculine might do something like this. Okay, I'm just going to allow Goddess to tell me when it's time to get out of bed. I'm going to roll out of bed, and then I'm going to have, your sacred masculine might say, then you've got an hour to move however feels good, whatever feels like pleasure. So that might be sun salutation practice. It might be Ashtanga. It might be just kind of yummy movement on the sheepskin. It might be breath work. It might be dance. It might be writing. But the concept is that it's about pleasure and love. Now, if you have shit to take care of, like a job and a business and stuff like that, yeah.
I'm a like entrepreneur, achieve going. So that's I feel like I need to do more.
Great. Well, create a space for that.
Yeah. At
noon, I put on my entrepreneurial hat.
Yeah.
And from noon to 3, I take 45. I'm just making stuff up here, so you don't have to go by this. I work for 30 minutes. I take 15-minute break. I work for 30 minutes. I take a 15-minute break. I work for 30 minutes. Then I have to eat lunch. Then I come back. I work for 30 more minutes, and then you literally you create structure for your masculine to work fully in for a short. If you can only do it for an hour, do it for an hour, but you do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that way you're allowing your feminine lots of space and structure to fully be in your feminine, which is just flowing in pleasure and love. Great. Love that. I'm sure your partner loves that. Right. And then set a time where at noon I let it go. And maybe there's a transition needed around 11:30, a shower or a bath or whatever. Or you start to do you go from doing flowing movement to ego eradicator.
Oh, okay, cool.
Go literally transition from pleasure to structure.
Awesome.
Yeah, and then you're like, okay, and then on your ego eradicator, you use your third eye to beam what your intention is for the day, for your business today, right? My intention is, and so you're beaming it through your third eye, you're projecting it through your third eye, your navel, masculine navel. Your navel's fully engaged. And that is you using your sacred masculine to fuck the world open, as David would say, right? But you're doing it consciously. And this is the same for men too, man. Like a lot of guys, I'm very flowy. And I need to spend a lot of time to kind of do my thing in the morning. And then, my writing time, boom, 7 a.m. normally, 6 or 7 a.m. So does that make sense? Does that help?
It does, but when you just said 7 a.m., so because I am yogic in my consciousness, that sacred time, I feel like I'm missing out on that little window of why we get up between 5 and 7.
Vela's also at sunset.
Yeah, I've been doing that actually because I live somewhere where I can watch the sunset. So I just need to, so that's what's happening, is that I need to really honor that shift. Okay.
Yeah, I think you need to honor Amrit Vela for sure. I think the part of you, and look, this is just my reflection to you, I could be wrong. My reflection to you is the part of you that wants to get up at noon or at dawn and like do the sunrise practice, feels more like a toxic masculine residue.
Okay.
Or maybe there's one day, I mean, look, this is your art. So maybe Fridays or Mondays or Tuesdays and Wednesdays, you get up at 7 and you go straight into masculine practice.
Mm-hmm.
You do a half an hour of morning practice, then you work. You write copy for your website for an hour.
Mm-hmm.
But it's you're structuring. This is one of the things I wanted you guys to get, which is that in these times, it's super important that we bring consciousness to when we're in our feminine, when we're in our masculine, and we're bringing a conscious approach to both, so that there's not this battle, either a battle between partners or a battle within ourselves, but we're literally structuring it so that we can flow more fully.
Beautiful. Thank you.
If you get lost, one last thing, if you get lost, go to your partner and say, baby, I'm lost. I don't know what to do now. And oh, he'll love that. Like, he'll tell you what to do. You're like, okay, baby, I want you to go sit down at your desk and you're gonna set a timer for 30 minutes. Yeah. I got my girlfriend on a timer. So like, she comes to me, I'm okay, where's your timer? Set a timer for 30 minutes and then blah, blah, blah. Now she's got her timer set, right? And I love that, because she's actually coming to me and saying, hey, I need your masculine gift. I'm in my feminine. If it was up to me, all I would do is want to flow and have sex and like be yummy all day. I realize I can't do that. I need your masculine gift here. Tell me what to do. Right? And you just make it very sexy. It can be a very playful, polarizing moment for you guys. But then if he tells you what to do, you should listen. Otherwise, he'll feel like, oh, she comes for my masculine gifts and she says, fuck off. Right? So
I'm better at that.
Unless you're ready to take his instruction, it'll depolarize everything. Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you for the question. Thank you for the question.
Okay. Forgive me if I say your name wrong. Mario, go ahead and unmute yourself. See that you are unmuted. I don't see you yet. Go ahead and speak. I also don't hear you.
No, we're not hearing you.
Okay. Yeah, so we will go to Michael. Michael Shaw, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hello.
Hello.
John, I really appreciate just number one, you mentioning talking about loneliness and grief. I feel I was going to talk about something else, but I just wanted to acknowledge that first, because I sit with I feel like loneliness is very close to me right now. But I guess my loneliness is, in terms of my question, is like the masculine. I feel like, the masculine for me is, I really connect with other men through activities, kind of like stereotypically. And obviously right now it's really hard for me to connect with my masculine friends over Zoom. And I don't want to let my relationships weaken. And I also really crave that balance. So I was curious, you mentioned that you have an ongoing men's group. How do you stay connected with other men when it's not as easy to just go and be like, hey, let's go to the gym, or let's go do something, let's go for a bike ride?
Yeah, man. So I'm so glad you brought that, because I think this is important. Hopefully other guys will get this as well. Structure. We have a call every day at 11 a.m. And it's just in the books every fucking day. Some guys show up every day. Some guys show up twice a week. Some, but we have a call. We've been meeting together for over 20 years. So So that structure holds our desire to be together, right? Without that structure, shit would never happen. It would be like, okay, like let's check our calendars. Like, when can you do it? And it would just never happen. So maybe what you could do is you reach out to your top 5 friends and say, hey man, I want to let's have a men's group this week. And how does like 5 to 6 on Sunday work for all of you guys? I'll set up a Zoom, come together. We're going to share, each of us going to share for 5 minutes and then get 5 minutes of feedback from the other men. You create a structure for the meeting. You say, I want to connect with you guys. I want to, hear what's going on in your life. I want us to be able to support each other. Let's do a little impromptu men's group. And then you set up the structure for it. Maybe the structure is you meditate for the first 10 minutes and then check in, right? But somebody has to take the lead. Somebody has to be masculine even for men, right? Because mental flow, it feels good. So you've got to be like, all right, guys, we're gonna meet on Sunday. Whoever can be there, let's do it. Here's the format. Maybe you send them, if you go super masculine, format. Like, here's the format for our meeting, right? And then maybe you do it once a week. Let's continue this every week, and then you check in. Like, here's some questions I would do. What's the edge I'm working? Like, what's my edge right now? Maybe it's my loneliness.
Yeah.
Maybe it's creating structure to work. Maybe it's, being with my partner who I live with, whatever your edge is. And then you get feedback from the men. And that way you're creating a space consciously where you can get nourished by other men, which is fucking crucial for guys right now. Because you're not the only, you are not alone in being lonely, brother. You know what I mean? A lot of guys, women too, like, we have to create structure to nourish ourselves. Otherwise, this gets really hard.
Thank you. I appreciate that, John.
Yeah. And, I'm a huge fan of men's groups anyway. It's like my big thing is men's groups. So, yeah, if you could find a group of half dozen guys, or just post it on Facebook, like, hey, I want to have an impromptu men's group. Anybody interested, private message me. And, maybe you limit it to 9 guys or 6 guys or whatever, and you take the lead on that.
I will. Thanks.
All
Love
right.
it.
Good to hear from you. Okay.
Okay, so next we have Janelle. Janelle, unmute yourself. Okay, go ahead and ask your question.
Hi, thanks, John, for making this available.
Yeah, nice to see you.
Nice to see you too. My question is, how do I support my relationship during this time when there's a lot of aggression from my partner? It's pretty, massively intense. And I'm afraid a lot, and I think he's afraid too. But there's some real things happening, like some disassociation for him.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like there's therapeutic stuff going on with your partner. And is that fair to say? Yeah. Therapeutic. And so trusting him to that realm, like literally detaching from that realm. And I'm trying to make this a very universal answering. When our partners are going through rough times, especially masculine partners, it sometimes pays to really understand the way that the masculine deals with stress and the way the feminine deals with stress. So the masculine deals with stress by what Michael was talking about, which is being with other men and just kind of like, it's kind of like a testosterone, I don't know, just bumping up against each other. There's sort of this osmosis that goes on. Same with women. So being with other men in a state of relaxed alertness. So if you notice, if guys are taking a hike together, there might be some talking at first, but after a while, everything just stops and guys are just like hiking, right? It's sort of a natural thing for men when they get together to go silent. The reason is because that's how their nervous systems replenish dopamine. Dopamine gets created when we're in this state of alert, relaxed alertedness for the masculine. And that dopamine converts to testosterone, or is a precursor to testosterone, which then allows us to go out and kill the tiger the next day. So the masculine will deal with stress by seeking solitude and aloneness. The feminine does not deal with stress that way. She wants oxytocin. And oxytocin happens through touch and cuddle and loving and kissing and making love, and right, ladies? Right? So oxytocin, so right away, we're in this stressful situation, right? Where, you know, your husband's probably dealing with business stuff and, you know, all kinds of stuff happening. So he's already on high alert for stress. And so I guess the answer to your question would be bless and honor as much space as you possibly can. And if there's aggression, reveal the truth of your heart in that moment. As much as I know it's hard, but in that moment, he said, rah, 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 and you're like, ow, ow, ow. And you let him feel through your eyes, ow. And you don't turn away. Ow, ow, ow. And then maybe he'll bark again and walk off, but it'll hit him. That's your husband's man, right? And he loves you. And so whatever he's going, whatever stress reaction's happening, your heart actually, did we lose her? Janelle, can you still, okay. Your heart is more powerful than his neurosis. Now, it means that you have to reveal your heart at full, full amplitude, right? To penetrate the density of his neurosis and stress. Does that make sense? Does that make sense, ladies? I'm saying, like, you got to reveal your heart so it penetrates in and touches his heart. And that's hard to do, especially when there's aggression. It's almost like it's almost, it goes against all of your survival instincts. And unless you're in a long-term marriage, and of course, if he's violent or anything, then absolutely, leave the scene. But that doesn't seem like what's happening.
No, I mean, it's emotional violence. It's pretty intense. It's, and my heart my body's kind of like, no, I don't want to be opening my heart to more of this.
Right.
And at the same time, it's my practice. And
you're actually more capable of metabolizing it with an open heart.
Yeah.
I know it goes against the grain of what most women are taught and what most women believe. And you can disagree with me, but I've seen this now enough that actually the capacity, because your heart has 30, if we stuck electrodes into your heart, there would be 30% more energy than in your brain, right? The heart has tremendous amounts of energetic capacity. So if your heart is activated and open, your body's capacity to metabolize energy, emotion, stress is highly amplified.
Mm-hmm.
And it requires a leap of faith that is oftentimes, now again, I'm saying you don't want to put yourself, if somebody's being abusive, then you might just say, ouch, baby, like, I'm going to just remove myself. Ouch, that hurts. And then you remove yourself. But if it's not quite there and you're just a matter of like trying to, just keep revealing, your capacity to actually be with the energy is much greater. It's hard.
It's really hard.
Especially because you're not getting what you need in stress.
No, I mean, I'm really lucky that I have a house of 7 people, so I have lots of love in my life. But yeah, and I know that he's loving me in the best way he can. I know that. I just know that his suffering is so bad.
Yeah, right. And he also has to take that. That is his karma.
It is completely. Yeah. And, but you know, that dance, our partner dance is always going to another level. Every time I think, oh, this can't be more, there's more. You know, like there's more that comes in. And I trust that. I do trust it. It's just, I wish it weren't so scary for me. Like, I just wish when he's yelling at me that he's being a good masculine and I'm not doing any fucking feminine stuff. And where am I? And I'm like, you asshole, like, not to him. I don't say that, because if I said that to him, it would be really bad. But I know he feels it. He feels that I'm.
Well, so feel the anger. So if he's yelling at you, you should absolutely let him feel the anguish beneath the "you asshole."
Yeah.
Right?
I do.
Yeah. And so if it's just through your eyes and through your breath and letting your heart express the anguish of, you're yelling at me and I'm in a lot of pain, right? You know, I'm just, you know, strategically, I would say give him as much space, like be an advocate for his like a total advocate for his solitude, and let him come to you. And let him come to, and I think that last part might be a little trickier for you. Absolutely let him come to you.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's one thing to be an advocate for his solitude, but then you step into it because you love him and because you want to take care of him and all that. I would relax that piece and literally let him come to you completely for a while, and just notice if that, because if he has stress, and even his solitude might not be alleviating his stress because he's probably dealing with a lot of business stuff.
Yes. Yeah.
The moment you step into that, even with the best intentions, even with the sweetest intentions, you're now something he has to attend to.
Uh-huh.
That'll make him frustrated.
I think we're actually almost dealing with the opposite. I'm used to giving Rob as much freedom and solitude as he can possibly need, because I know it's important. So what he's actually saying is I'm not giving enough, and I'm not doing enough.
Oh, you're not doing enough for him.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Do
I don't know if that's true. No, I can't say. I don't know if that's true. I mean, it's hard to say.
Yeah.
Again, you're dealing with family constellation stuff here, right? The familial, right? So he's under stress, and he'll feel like people aren't doing enough for him, right, in this time of stress, because that's how he felt as a child.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, it's one of those things where, you know, I would need, and you could say, in a moment of calmness, you could say, would you like to know what I would need in order to want to give you more?
Okay.
And then you're being really clear. He could say yes or no. Chances are he'll say yes. Would you like to know what I would need in order to want to give you more? I would need you to say thank you. I would need you to be kinder to me. I would need you to not blow up. I would need you, you know what I mean? Like whatever those things are, and try that.
Yeah, I could see that being valuable. Thank you.
Yeah. Hang in there.
I do.
Nice to see you. Okay. I think that's all the time we have for now. I really appreciate all the questions you guys got. I hope that it was helpful for those who didn't ask questions. And we'll go ahead and post this. I want to give, is Melissa here? If she is, raise her hand. So this, I'm not charging anything for this, obviously. This is really, I wanted to try to kill two birds with one stone. My daughter, Claire, who many of you know, died of cystic fibrosis a couple years ago. has a foundation, and that foundation helps families with cystic fibrosis. So there are kids that are struggling with, who are in very, very rough time. We've got about 75 applicants that need money. So we give grants to those families. And if you got any value out of this and you want to give $2, $5, $10, $1,000, whatever, there's a, Nicolette is going to put the link in there, and you could see about Claire's Place Foundation and the COVID fund for the kids with cystic fibrosis. So no pressure, but I'm just going to offer it. And if it feels good, please donate. If not, no problem.
And Melissa is here.
Okay. Mel, do you want to just say something for a minute?
Sure, absolutely. Can you hear me, John?
Yeah.
Oh, great. I just wanted to say, what an interesting hour. Thank you for inviting me to share about Claire's Place, but really inviting me to participate in your love in the time of quarantine. It's been really informative, and I learned a lot that I'll take into my daily life. I appreciate it. Good morning or good evening to all of you participants. As you know, John and I had the privilege of raising a beautiful daughter named Claire, who started Claire's Place Foundation in 2011, and we continue to strive to support her mission to help the CF community. The CF community is at extreme risk right now during the coronavirus pandemic, and have had to isolate, quit their jobs, really kind of stay in the home much longer actually than everyone else in the nation. You know, once the word about the pandemic hit the streets in the CF community, everybody locked down because CF affects the lungs, and as you know, COVID-19 destroys the lungs. So it really is a death sentence. So we have families reaching out to us for immediate assistance with food and supplies and medical copays. We started a COVID-19 fund, and we're officially out of money. We right now have almost 80 from 70 yesterday, almost 80 referrals needing assistance. And some of the stories are very touching. If you'd like to learn more, please visit Claire's Place Foundation or visit us on Instagram, where we share stories about families that we're helping. Really appreciate your support during this time. Thanks again, John.
Thank you, Melissa. Yeah. Again, guys, this is only if you're inspired to do so. I don't want this to be, this is a gift I want to give to you guys. And if you're inspired to help with anything, great. All right. Thank you all for being here. Thank you, Melissa, for representing Claire's Place Foundation and our beautiful daughter. And then we'll be back again next week. So please stay safe.
Thank you, everyone.